Hello and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be talking about how to start feeling like your life counts right now. How to get out of this mindset that so many of us are in, where we are constantly and perpetually feeling like we're waiting for our lives to start, where we're feeling like the phase that we're in right now is doesn't count because we haven't achieved the things we want to achieve, because we're not healed yet, because we're not our most ideal version of self yet, because we haven't become what we want to become, because we don't feel how we want to feel, because our kind of like day-to-day reality doesn't look like other people's Instagram highlight reels. And this kind of perpetual my life doesn't count, my life doesn't count, my life doesn't count, it is a really painful place to live from. And it can be something that we spend our entire lives in this place, and then we get to the end of our lives and realize that it never felt like it started. And this is something that I talk about quite a lot because I feel like so many of us have been sucked into this culture of not enough. This culture of nothing ever being good enough, nothing ever being satisfying, nothing ever being the thing where you arrive where you want to arrive or you get where you want to get, and then the world looks at you and says, good, you did it. Like, you're here, this is it, we acknowledge you, we validate you, this is good enough, and now your life counts, now your life starts. And that is for a reason, right? Our culture does not do that to us. Our culture does not do that for us for a reason, right? It keeps us in a state of constant striving, of constantly feeling like we need to be doing more, producing more, consuming more. It keeps us navel gazing. It keeps us disconnected from our truth. And it is really painful to live that way. So today I really want to talk about how to feel like your life counts right now. How to understand that most of your life is going to be a transition. That pretty much always in our reality, there is going to be some place we're wanting to get that we're not at yet. There's going to be struggles that are happening. There are going to be challenges that we're facing. There are going to be things that we're working through. And we're never going to arrive at a place where we can say, I've arrived. I'm living my purpose. I have inner peace. My relationships are perfect. I have the family life that I want. Everything is exactly how I want it to be. I feel fully expressed, and this is my life. And we need to let go of that idea, because unless and until we let go of that idea, we are always going to feel like life doesn't count. And in a lot of ways, we are going to hold ourselves back from living as fully as we could right now, and experiencing the things that we could be experiencing, and having the life that could feel good to us. And it's usually going to lead to us looking back and having regrets at all the things we didn't do, because we were living from this place of like, well, I can't do that until X, Y, and Z happens. And then we realize we could have done the thing at the time, and now the time has passed maybe. And that is something that we'll talk about more as we go along, okay? So first things first is to understand, like, we all need to really ground into this idea that purpose is your whole life. There is not one thing, one special thing that is your purpose, that's going to fulfill you, that's going to make you feel like, I'm doing it, and this is it, and I have found my thing, I have found my talent, I have found my expression, and I fully know who I am, and this is the penultimate pinnacle thing. Some people on this planet have a thing that they really love doing, that they're very passionate about, that is their heart's calling, that is their, area of hyperfixation or whatever you want to call it. And living a life where you are setting yourself up to be able to really go deep into that is absolutely something that some of us need to do. Okay? Some of us, this is very important. Some of us have a thing that is our thing that we're going to want to turn into a vocation, that we're going to want to be doing all the time, that we're going to want to have as a very big part of our lives. And when people say what do you do or what are you passionate about, you're going to say this thing. Okay? And for some of us, what I would say is that for most of us who have a thing like that, by the time you're in your adulthood, if you're listening to these videos, you probably know what that thing is. Generally speaking, you're probably not going to be in your mid-30s and your 40s not having any idea what your thing is. Okay? So I want to put that out there as a seed for you to think about. That if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and you're like, I don't have a thing. I've never had a thing. I don't know what my thing is. I must be missing something. Generally, and I'm sure that there are exceptions to this rule, but generally, you might be one of those people who doesn't have a specific thing that is your thing. Because there are lots of people on this planet who don't have a thing. And there are way too many influencers and life coaches and spiritual teachers and guides out there that are making it sound like if you are the kind of person who doesn't have a passion that is definable, that you can fit into a box, that you can put on a business card, that you're missing something and you're doing something wrong and you're not living your fullest potential, and this is why you don't feel fulfilled. And it is wrong. It is just factually not correct that is a reality for everybody. From what I have seen in interacting with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people over my lifetime, there are people out there who have a thing. I'm one of those people. My sister is one of those people. There are people out there who have a thing. And what I'm going to say about that is, you know it. It's one of those things that you probably discovered pretty early on in your life. And it's been a through line in your experience forever. Right? Even my husband, who never really lived a life of what's your passion and what are you doing and whatever. Music was always there. Playing music was always there. He didn't go looking for his purpose. He didn't go looking for what's my thing. It was like an innate part of his personality that's always been there, and it's always going to be there. Gathering people socially around music has been his thing forever. Okay? And so what I want to say is that if you have something like that, you know. You already know. You know what that thing is. It's that thing you've never been able to stop being obsessed with. And if you have something like that, then yes, your life path, you are likely not going to feel fulfilled unless and until you get to create a life where that thing is a major part of your life. It doesn't have to become a job. It doesn't have to become how you make money. But if you're not allowing yourself to express it and explore it and grow yourself in it, there's just going to be pain. And you're not going to be confused about what it is. You're not going to be wondering, what's my thing? You're knowing what your thing is. Okay, so I'm going to put that out there. If you're really, truly, deeply honest with yourself, if you have a thing, you know it. Even if it's been deeply shamed or buried or hidden, or you haven't been able to explore it, you know what it is. When I say what's your thing, you know. It comes up. It's right there. If you don't have that, number one, you are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not missing some giant part of your personality, probably, most likely, generally speaking. You might just be one of those people who doesn't necessarily have a specific thing. And that is completely okay. That is also completely normal. That is also completely common. You are not alone in that. You are not missing something. You are not trying. You're like the other half of the population who also doesn't have a thing. So this is the first thing we all need to let go of. That every human being has that one special, unique thing that they have to do that's going to fulfill them. And that unless and until they live that life, they're not going to feel good. Okay? This, what I'm doing, this is who I've always been. I didn't discover this in a life coaching class. I didn't have a spiritual revelation about this. There was no before and after. This is who I've always been. My sister didn't discover art at some point. She wasn't taught by a life coach. This was a thing she was doing in her room when she was old enough to hold a pencil. Okay? If there is a thing that is your thing, you know. It's always been there. And you know that if you don't have that thing in your life a lot, you feel pain. If you do not have a thing like that, that's okay. You are still completely capable of living a fulfilling, exciting life that feels good to you, that feels purposeful, without a thing. Okay, so next thing. If you are one of these people who has a thing, your biggest obstacle is going to be realizing that you are never going to realize your potential. With your special thing, with your special area that is your bread and butter, that's your passion, that's your thing that fulfills you, that you love. If you are measuring your purpose, your value, your capacity to be happy and satisfied and fulfilled based on your expression of your thing and how expressed you are of it and the goals that you have, right? If you're a writer and it's like, until I have a published book, it doesn't count. Until I'm on Oprah, it doesn't count. Until I've achieved X, Y, and Z, until I've made it my full-time money-making career, until, it doesn't count. That's the trap we fall into with our special thing. Okay? That right there is what I want to say is killing so many of us. The real reality is, even if you have a thing, everything you accomplish with that thing is just going to become the foundation for the next thing you want to accomplish. It's just going to become the foundation for the next thing you want to do, for the next iteration of growth, for the next iteration of expansion. You're never going to arrive at any place and think, I made it. Now it counts. You can win the Oscar, you can get the thing published, you can be seen by everybody, and you're going to go home at night and it'll feel good for 5 minutes. But if you were waiting for the external result to make you feel like it counts, you are going to be waiting forever. Because there's never going to be an enough. There's never going to be enough people who validate you. There's never going to be a big enough achievement. There's never going to be a place you can arrive where you're going to feel like you did it. Because that's just simply not how we work. That's not how humans work. No matter what we accomplish, there's always going to be something else to accomplish. There's always going to be farther to go. There will always be people who don't know who you are and have never heard of you, or who don't appreciate what you have to offer, don't think it's special. So if we're not finding the capacity to feel fulfilled along the journey, we are never going to feel fulfilled. If we are not giving ourselves to feel like a permission to feel like what we are doing, what we are achieving, what we are experiencing and expressing in our thing right now is good enough, if we're not allowing ourselves to enjoy it, if we're not allowing ourselves to just be in whatever we're in right now and saying this is the ultimate expression of this right now, I don't really know where it's going to go, right? I might have goals and things that I want to accomplish and things that I want to achieve, and I'm working towards those things, and that's great. And we can have those, and you can do that. But if you're saying that I can't be fulfilled until I get to X thing, well, number one, again, like I said, you're either going to get to X thing and realize it doesn't fulfill you, because now there's just a new X thing, or you're not going to get to X thing, because that's a very real possibility for a lot of us who have a thing, that we have an idea of where we want to go with it, and an idea of how it's going to work out, and an idea of what the ultimate expression of this thing is going to look like. And that might not be in alignment with real reality. We may never get the book deal. We may never get the interview. We may never get the recognition or the large following or the making it our entire income or whatever it is. And that cannot be a reason why we don't feel like we're doing good enough and we don't feel like we're living our purpose. We need to start to learn how to validate that if you are doing it at all, if you have your thing and you're incorporating it into your life, that needs to be enough. To let yourself be satisfied with where you are right now. Because allowing yourself to be satisfied with where you are right now does not mean you're going to stagnate here. I promise you this. It does not mean you're never going to achieve anything ever again. It doesn't mean you're not going to grow. It doesn't mean you might not achieve the thing you want to achieve. In fact, generally speaking, the opposite is actually true. The more we make room for what we're doing right now to be good enough, and the more we allow ourselves to just be in the phase we're in right now with our special thing, the more we're going to get out of it. So that's the first thing. The more we're going to feel how we want to feel. The more we're going to start to feel that sense of purpose and that sense of completion and that sense of like, yeah, I'm doing it and this is real and it counts now, which is what we want. And then second thing, when we can allow ourselves to just be in our thing right now, to just be committed that what I am doing right now is the thing. This is the expression. The faster we're going to grow, the faster we're going to expand, and the more we're actually going to be able to step into the next iteration and the next iteration and the next iteration. There is a paradoxical power in letting yourself just be in what you're in right now and fully embracing it, not trying to project yourself into the future, not trying to make yourself go faster, not trying to make it something that it isn't right now. Just fully investing in what you're doing right now. And this is going to go for the people who don't have a thing equally as much. The secret to feeling like your thing counts is to live like it counts. Like, as easy and even as cliche as that can sound. When you give yourself permission to look at what you're doing right now as good enough, and you let yourself fully invest your time, your energy, your heart, your passion into what you're doing right now, you allow yourself to be in that flow state, because that's really what being in the flow state is that you're not off in the future. You're not thinking about where you're going. You're not obsessing about what's missing from right here. You're fully engaged, fully invested, fully in what you're in right now. That is how you feel like it counts and there's purpose. It's not some big accomplishment. It's not some, this is where I have to get and it doesn't count until I get there. Feeling purpose in your thing is about just allowing yourself to be invested fully in your version of your thing that exists right now. Giving yourself permission to be fully invested in the version of your thing that exists right now. To allow yourself to be like, this is good enough. This is it. I get to do my thing. It's not perfect. It's not exactly where I want to be. I don't feel like I've reached my potential. There's so much more for me. Okay, we can hold that. While also being able to say, but all I have in real reality as a guarantee is this moment right now. This writing session right now. This drawing session right now. This speaking engagement right now. And maybe it's to 2 people. Maybe no one will ever see this art piece. Maybe this writing will go in the trash. Who cares? Invest. Be in it. Don't do it for the outcome. Do it for the experience of how it feels to do it. Do it for the experience of how it feels to do it. Because a life built on moment after moment after moment after moment where you were engaged in your right now and letting it be good enough is a life that feels purposeful and fulfilling and satisfying. Because if that's how we're living our day every day, what I'm doing today counts. I'm allowing myself to be fully invested in the step that I'm in. I'm making this good enough. Knowing that growth is natural, that growth is going to come, that as you engage in what you're in right now, the next step and the next step and the next step and the growth and the next iteration, that all comes from being in what you're in right now. Okay? We don't get to 12th grade calculus by giving a kindergarten student a 12th grade calculus textbook. It is not going to work. They can drill that into their head as much as they want. They don't have the foundations. They don't know multiplication. They don't know addition. They don't know subtraction. They are never going to understand calculus. They're never going to get there. You see, if we want to create a situation where a kindergarten student is one day going to be capable of 12th grade calculus, we start at where that kindergartner is right now in kindergarten with simple addition and subtraction. That's the path. And the more engaged the child is in that, the better they're going to learn those skills. And the more drilled in those skills are, when we then introduce multiplication and division, the easier it's going to be for them to pick that up. And then they fully engage in multiplication and division. And then we can start teaching simple algebra. And the more they just engage in that and fully commit to that, this is where I'm at, I'm learning algebra. And you just drill your drills and do your practices over and over and over again. Eventually you become capable of calculus. And it wasn't because you forced yourself to do calculus. It's because you allowed yourself to be fully engaged in every step. So wherever you are in your expression of your thing, live as though it's the ultimate thing. Because 2 reasons. Number 1, the way to get where you want to go is to fully invest in the step you're in. Learn everything you can about this step and this phase. And when you're ready to grow, the more invested in this you are, the more prepared you're going to be for the next growth step. The more you're trying to live the next growth step or push yourself to the next growth step or trying to predict what the next growth step is, the less you're engaged in what you're doing now, the less you're learning from what you're doing now, the more time you're going to have to spend here. Because you're not learning this. And second, the more you let yourself engage and invest in what you're in right now, the more fulfilled you're going to feel by it. The more you let go of making it about the future and making it about where you're going and saying it doesn't count unless and until, the more you just say, this is it for me right now. the more you're going to feel that way, and the more you're going to have moments and moments and moments and moments of feeling that way. And then you feel like the whole step, the whole journey counted, was real. It's not like the people who stand in front and say, here are all the mistakes I made until I reached my goal and then I was fulfilled. That's not real. You feel fulfilled by letting yourself be in what you're in and deciding that it counts and being invested in it. And that's the fastest way to grow. So now, if you don't have a thing, if your life is more general, it's the exact same principle. If you don't have a thing that's your thing, that does not mean you cannot feel fulfilled and purposeful and like your life counts. Not at all. Rather, it's about allowing yourself to be fully invested in the phase of life that you're in. Maybe you're in the phase of life where you're just working and your job isn't like your purpose. It's not the thing that fulfills you, it's the thing that you dream about doing at night. But you find something that's good enough. And you allow yourself to be grateful that it pays the bills and it supports you. And then you fill the rest of your time with things that you enjoy. Knitting, reading, learning about true crime, spending time with your friends, raising children. Like all of these things that we say are just like normal, mundane. That's not normal or mundane at all. Those things are all incredibly purposeful. You can get into a flow state when you're folding laundry or playing with the kids or whatever it is by giving yourself permission to fully engage in what you're in. You are the one who gets to decide if the way you lived your life counted and mattered and had purpose. There is no universal rule or law that says you have to have a one thing and you have to achieve public glory in order to have lived your purpose. That's not a thing. That's not real. That's consensus reality based on nothing. That's not what fulfills us. That's not what makes us feel like life matters and life counts. And that's not what gives us a feeling of purpose. What gives us a feeling of purpose is how deeply we are investing in our lives. So you don't have to have a thing. You do not have to have a special thing that makes it so that your life is purposeful. And in fact, having a special thing can often be a distraction from a life that feels purposeful. There are a lot of downsides that come with having a special thing, where you then sacrifice other areas of your life that are deeply important for that special thing. And you cause yourself a lot of pain. People who don't have a thing have an easier time spreading their attention over many different things: their job, their relationship, their body and their health, their playtime and passions that they just enjoy doing, their hobbies. That is a completely valid, real, purposeful life. Okay? Like, I think about my grandparents. Neither of them had like a special thing. They lived their lives in a way where they did the stuff. You just do the stuff. You get through. You raise the kids, and you have the job, and you have the house, and you have the marriage, and you give yourself to those things. They had hobbies that they enjoyed, that they never monetized, and they were happy people. Because they didn't have this idea in their head that they had to have this special thing that they did that made them fulfilled. They lived their life as a general thing, and they were engaged in it. They were engaged in their relationships. They were engaged in their hobbies. They were engaged in their families. It mattered to them. And therefore they lived a life that felt meaningful. This is what I want you to start to consider. Thing or not. The thing that makes us feel fulfilled. The thing that makes us feel like our life counts right now is not the achievement. It's not how it looks. It's not what we can put on paper or show to anybody. The thing that makes it feel like it counts is how engaged we are in it. How invested we are in it. And the wisdom that we're looking for within it. That's the other big thing, is realizing that every phase of our life is teaching us something. It's helping us become the next version of ourselves. And this is the next thing that I really want to highlight. Is that I don't really believe that what we're really chasing with expression of a thing or finding a thing or whatever is really the thing. Right? Like, I have a thing, so I can stand here and say this. This work that I do is my thing. It's always been my thing. It's always going to be my thing. It's the thing I lay in bed at night and think about all the time. I could literally do it all the time. And I know that this, what I'm doing, isn't the point. Okay? This, what I'm doing, is great. And I do it and I give it because, number one, people deserve it. People deserve support. They deserve free information. They deserve the blueprints that I've created. Like, I want people to have the thing I never had. And I'm always going to feel that way. And helping other people and serving in some way is, of course, incredibly fulfilling and important to me as a human being. But what's more than that is that living this life and allowing myself to be invested in it and allowing myself to go all in and admit that this is who I am and live this way and all the things that that's required of me. The thing that's deeply fulfilling about that, for me, is the person I've become because of it. This path has stretched me and forced me into growth and expansion and challenged me to be the best version of myself every day. Because, right, when you're doing this work, you can't be sloppy. I can't be sloppy with my inner work. I can't be sloppy with the things that I'm doing and how I'm living my life. Right? I have a responsibility to not be hypocritical. Which means everything that I'm teaching you, everything that I'm offering you, I hold myself to that standard higher than I will hold anyone else to the standard. Because if it doesn't really work, if I'm not really trying these things on and testing them out fully, how do I know that what I'm offering is actually real, helpful advice? Right? The outcome of this path is selfishly all like so much about who I am continually becoming because of it. So if you have a thing, I really want you to understand that the thing that makes that purposeful is not the expression of it in some specific form. The true purpose in you following your thing is you becoming the person you're supposed to become. Because following your thing is going to stretch you and grow you and push you beyond your comfort zone and take you places you never would have gone without that thing. And that's really the point. Who it allows you to become. And if you don't have a special thing, same goes for you. Every day, everything you're doing, every relationship, every job you work, every experience you have, the point of it is who it's growing you into. It's who you're becoming because of it. It's what you're learning about yourself and about life that you never would have learned without that experience. So this dovetails into the next thing that I was going to say is like, this is why a lot of us, when we're in a state where we're like super burnt out and we're quitting everything, or we're in a phase where we're like, my life doesn't count because I'm realizing all my trauma and I'm not healed from it, and I have chronic illness and I'm not healed from it, and I don't have the marriage that I want, or the relationship that I want, or I haven't had kids yet, or right, I'm stuck in some way, I'm not achieving anything, I'm not outwardly obviously growing in some culturally acceptable direction, and therefore my life can't start until I've healed. My life can't start until I've found my thing. My life can't start until I've fixed this mess. That is a trap. If you are in a holding pattern, if you are in a healing pattern, if you are in a time in your life right now where it feels like every door has closed and you don't know what your next step is and it feels like there's nothing there, your life is still happening right now. This phase of your life has purpose. Whether that purpose is literally learning how to validate yourself as a worthwhile, lovable, acceptable human being, even though you have no, because I do this, or because I can offer that, or because I'm strong here, or because I've achieved that. This is one of the biggest things, the biggest blessings, if you want to look at it this way, that a time of nothingness can offer us, is learning to realize that our lives have purpose, we have purpose, we have value, even when there's nothing on the outside for us to grab onto and identify with as being purposeful and awesome. If you can find your value and your worth in those times of nothing, if you can find love for yourself, compassion for yourself, a feeling that your life matters and it counts and it started and it's real right here, even though there's nothing in consensus reality that you can point to and say, because I have the job, because I have the relationship, because I've healed all my trauma, because I've accomplished this thing, that's why it counts and that's why I count. When you can say, I count and I matter and my life counts and my life matters because I exist right here, right now. That's it. Today I existed. I got through the day. I ate food. And I rested. And that was enough. That is so vitally important. Because our culture is still obsessed with achievement and external looks over how anything feels or what it actually is or anything that has actual value. There are a lot of people out there who are achieving so many things. They're high-powered individuals making shit tons of money, having a massive effect on the planet that's incredibly negative. It would literally be better for them to be achieving nothing than for them to be achieving what they're achieving, because they're living from a place of delusion that action is always good, that more is always better, that power and influence and what our toxic culture values is what we should be chasing. Designer handbags, luxury, fashion, parties, social media, being popular, drinking, eating, all of this shit. That's what society says is purposeful. You're a somebody if you're doing all of these things. And how destructive is it? How chaotic is it? What our culture defines as purpose in so many ways is complete chaos and destruction. It's not helpful. It's destruction. So if we're centering our I don't count until I measure up to what consensus reality is saying, chances are we're pushing ourselves into ways of life that are not in alignment with truth and reality. It is better for you to be doing nothing and learning to value yourself so that you're not a hungry ghost running around like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to fulfill yourself by doing all of these external things that are actually harmful to you and harmful to the planet and harmful to humanity. You're better off doing nothing than that. Chasing what society says makes you count is a life that is never going to feel good. Many of us need to learn how to let go of that stuff because it's never going to fulfill. It's never going to be enough. It's never going to feel good because that's not what it's based on. It's not based on feeling good. It's not based on feeling at all. And that's the problem. It's based on being disconnected from our feelings, disconnected from our humanity, disconnected from our emotions and our bodies, and living in a way that is not supportive of life. This is why so many of us don't feel fulfilled, because we're chasing things that are never going to fulfill us. Being seen by the biggest number of people is never going to fulfill you. Having the latest and greatest thing is not going to fulfill you. Being on Oprah is not going to fulfill you. Being powerful is not going to fulfill you. If you really feel what those things feel like, I guarantee it's not going to feel good. So a lot of us need to learn to slow down. We need to learn to give up on the achievements, the accomplishments, the accolades, the living for how it looks versus how it feels. And we need to start to tune into how things actually feel. You need to start to live like your life counts right now. And if you were to actually believe that, if you were to actually believe that you have purpose and your life counts right now, how many of the things that you're chasing would you stop chasing? If you were to feel that your life counts right now, what are the things you would let go of? Because you realize the only reason you're chasing those things is because it's trying, you believe I'm not going to feel like I matter until I have that thing. I really want you to ask that question. If you felt like your life counted right now, what are the desires that are actually left over? And what starts to become very apparent to you as being a thing you were doing to chase a feeling that you won't give yourself permission to feel right now? So when we go through those periods of nothingness, when we go through those periods where we don't have a life filled with a bunch of stuff we can show other people, it's one of the greatest gifts we will give ourselves. It's how we step out of the matrix, out of consensus reality that says your life only counts when you have this, this, and that to show for it. And then you will find purpose and meaning in how you live your day-to-day life, and then no one can ever take that from you. It will be hard, it will be uncomfortable, and no one will validate you. And that's the point. When no one is looking and no one is validating you and no one is saying that what you're doing counts and matters, can you feel that way anyways? Because when you develop that capacity, no one can take that from you. When you don't have that capacity and it's dependent upon other people approving of you and seeing you and validating you for you to feel like your life counts, you're never going to feel like it counts, because there's never going to be enough of that. There will never be enough people who validate you. There will always be people who say you could be doing more. There will always be people out there who are doing more than you, achieving more than you, who have your special thing and are doing it better. So if you're waiting till you're the best or the ultimate, or you've reached some pinnacle of being validated and recognized, you're going to be waiting forever. Because there is no pinnacle. There is no peak of the mountain. It's never going to happen. When you can find your fulfillment in your day-to-day, because you did the inner work to be able to do that, no one can ever take it from you. And then whether you're in a holding phase, in a growth phase, in an achievement phase, in an accomplishment phase, it won't matter. It'll all feel like it. Even when you have dreams, even when you have goals, even when you have places you want to go, that won't discount the value of where you are. And that's really what we want. Okay? Okay. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that was a different perspective. Your life counts now. So how engaged in it are you? How much meaning and purpose are you giving it? How much are you giving yourself permission to feel like your life counts now? Because only you can do that. The world is never going to be able to do that for you. No one is ever going to be able to do that for you. And when you can do it for yourself, even when you're at your rock bottom and you're achieving nothing and doing nothing, if you can say this time is purposeful, because I'm here and I'm alive, and what am I learning, and what am I experiencing, and who am I becoming because of this, then you're always going to feel like your life has purpose, and no one can take that from you. And that's the greatest gift you can ever give yourself. You deserve to feel that. And then growth and change and expansion and all the things you're going to grow into will naturally come from that. Okay? Giving yourself permission to feel like your life counts now doesn't mean you're never going to grow again. I promise. It will not stagnate you. And in fact, it will probably do the opposite. Because the more you allow yourself to just engage in what you're in and fully invest in it, the faster you're going to learn from it, the more it's going to expand you, and the faster you're going to be ready for the next growth. That's the paradox. Okay? So what would it take for you to give yourself permission to feel like your life counts now? That this is it. So how can you be engaged in it? Just fully engage in it. Let yourself be engaged in it. That's how we give ourselves a feeling of purpose and mattering, is we invest in ourselves in the present moment. Okay? Okay. So, I hope that was helpful. Let me know what you think. Leave me your comments. And I'll see you the next time I see you. Okay? Mwah.